what would happen if Goku died on planet Vegeta? If Goku died on planet Vegeta, that would first of all would mean that Grandpa Gohan would have remained alive. And so when Bulma was looking for the Dragon Balls the first time around, she would have come across Grandpa Gohan, and all the adventures that Goku would have gone on with Bulma, it would be Grandpa Gohan going on those adventures with Bulma instead. And we see it in the original Dragon Ball, Grandpa Gohan was shown to be even stronger than Goku when Goku, who had just beaten the Red Ribbon Army, fought against him at Fortune Teller Barber's place. So we see that he's pretty strong. So when Grandpa Gohan ends up against the Peel-Off gang, there's no need for Great Ape transformation, and Grandpa Gohan ends up blasting through the prison room and ends up stopping the Peel-Off gang anyway. And whether there's a wish for a payoff on the way or not, Grandpa Gohan would most definitely be able to stop them very easily compared to originally. Then he'd end up meeting Yamcha along the way before that too, and then after that he may end up taking Yamcha under his wing and train Yamcha, then enter the tournament, and it would be Grandpa Gohan and Yamcha versus Master Roshi with Krillin, and Grandpa Gohan may enter the tournament as a masked fighter as well. So that would be really cool to see. But then after that, what you would have is Grandpa Gohan may go out in search for the Dragon Balls again too, and then come across the Red Ribbon Army and beat the Red Ribbon Army like how Goku did. But he may have had a much easier time doing it compared to Goku, since he was stronger. He may encourage Yamcha to climb up Korin Tower and train, and Yamcha may end up becoming stronger because of that. And so when the 22nd World Tournament rolls around, Yamcha would be much better off. And so they enter that tournament and they do really well. Of course, like before, King Piccolo would end up showing up, and he, his minion, his son I mean, Tambourine, would end up coming to kill Krillin, and they would find out about it, but they may not be as enraged about it as Goku was, and they may not run off and try to hunt them down immediately like Goku did. And so, like originally, they may end up finding Tambourine and beating him, but then after that, originally what happened was Master Roshi, Tien, and Chaozu ended up coming across King Piccolo, and they used the Mafuba and they tried to steal him away, but they failed. But I feel like this time around, with more people around to fight and help, they would have a much easier time taking down King Piccolo. So even if Tien and Master Roshi's Mafuba doesn't work, Grandpa Gohan knows the Mafuba as well, and he could use that. And I feel like there's no way the Mafuba could lose a third time in a row. Like, there's no way, especially with more people helping. So Grandpa Gohan could end up using the Mafuba. They could be successful with the sealing of King Piccolo, and that would be the end of King Piccolo in that version of events. And so once King Piccolo is sealed away, Yamcha may end up climbing Korin's tower again and end up going even further to Kami's lookout. Remember, Goku got the power pole from Grandpa Gohan. So in this version events, Yamcha may be the one getting the power pole instead. So he has the power pole, and he uses that to get up to Kami's lookout, and he ends up training on Kami's lookout. And he finds out about how Kami is the guardian and all that. And while training with Kami, he finds out if Kami could help him bring his friends back to life, and so that's what ends up happening. And Kami ends up finding about how King Piccolo was sealed away. So they come back to life, and after that, many years of peace follow after that. Because remember, if Goku died on planet Vegeta, it means Raditz doesn't come to Earth to threaten anybody. So he ends up not being a threat. Then Vegeta and Nappa never find out that there are Dragon Balls on Earth, so they never go to Earth to find out about any of that either. And what will happen with them is they will get into conflict with Frieza after finding out about Namek's Dragon Balls, and they may end up dying to the Ginyu Force, or maybe even some lesser members of the Frieza Force like Zarbon. Then the Dragon Balls was turned to stone on Namek, and Frieza won't be able to use it, and Frieza would destroy Namek and leave in disappointment. But not even Frieza would end up coming into contact with Earth, because he would have no reason to. So what will happen on Earth is the androids may show up. But when the androids show up, even if they kill all these Z fighters, Kami would still be around, because King Piccolo was sealed away instead of killed. So after finding out about the deaths of these Z fighters, what he could do is use the Dragon Balls to reverse time but retain his memories of what would end up happening to the Z fighters with the androids. And he could reverse time by a few years and warn the Z fighters about the future threat of the androids and prepare them for many years using the time room and the hyperbolic time chamber and all these things. And people underestimate the insane killing power of the destructive disc. Remember, the destructive disc was used by Krillin. Krillin, during the Saiyan saga, when he used it, at the time, he was barely even able to match the power to destroy a few Cybermen. And yet, when he used the destructive disc, that shit could have killed Nappa, of all people, who was many times stronger than Krillin. Even when Goku showed up, even Goku described Nappa as being a really tough nut to crack. So for Krillin to have a move that could be so powerful that it could kill someone like Nappa, who's so much more powerful than him at that time, the destructive disc is an amazing technique. It even almost killed Frieza on Namek. If Krillin used the destructive disc with the solar flare, the killing power would be amazing. If you use it, especially if you use a destructive disc barrage with the solar flare. So, in Krillin's training, in preparation for the androids, he may concoct a solar flare destructive disc barrage special move. And I believe that with enough training in the time room, in the hyperbolic time chamber, all these different things, it should be enough to beat the androids. Then even if Cell shows up unexpectedly, even if Cell manages to catch the Z fighters off guard and kill them, Kami could still reverse time using the Dragon Balls again to the point immediately after the androids were already slain, and he could have brought Olibu back for a day with Fortune Teller Barber in order to defeat Cell. And remember, Olibu was described and shown as being powerful enough to rival Pycon, who was much stronger than Cell. But you also have to keep in mind that Cell is much weaker in this version, because Cell wouldn't have any Saiyan, Frieza, or Namekian DNA. Now, you might be wondering, how would Kami know about Ulibu? But here's the thing about Kami, right? If he's the god of Earth, and he watched over all, and knew so much, he should have known about Ulibu, especially since Ulibu was shown in the canon of Dragon Ball Super to be a prominent figure amongst the humans in Dragon Ball, in the history of that world. So overall, him being the god of Earth, he should know all there is to know when it comes to Earth and its inhabitants. He should. So I think that makes sense. And then years later, as for when Deborah and Babidi end up doing whatever they plan to do, because the people on Earth would have been so much weaker this time around, they would have no reason to end up going to Earth. So they would probably end up going to some other place on Universe 7 with more powerful beings. In this case, they would most likely end up going to planet Vampa, where Broly is, since Broly was shown to be so powerful. But we all know Deborah and Babidi would stand no chance against Broly, so they would just end up getting killed by Broly anyway. And that would stop the threat of Boo and all of that nonsense. So that concludes what will happen in Dragon Ball Z in this instance. Now we continue into the events of Dragon Ball Super. Beerus may wake up and have that premonition of the Super Saiyan God like he did originally. But this time he wouldn't go to Earth. Instead, he may end up going to planet Vampa as well, and he may encounter Broly. And Broly in his Ikari form alone should give Beerus a good enough fight to not warrant the Super Saiyan God transformation. We all know that Broly's Ikari form made him as powerful as a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan when he fought against Goku in the movie. And with this impressive feat of power, Beerus and Whis may want to take Broly under their wing and train him some more. And when Broly ends up training under them, it would make him much more powerful than originally, as he would get access to God Ki. You're probably wondering why they would go to planet Vampa where Broly is, and how they would even know about that. But remember how Whis ended up finding out about Goku. He just used his staff to see if there were any other Saiyans alive, and he just happened to find Goku. But you have to remember that there are other Saiyans who survived out there other than Goku, right? There's Tabel, there's Onio, there's Broly, there's Paragus, there's Onio's wife, and Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz who were around for a while too. So Whis could have just used his staff to find out about Broly. With events playing out like this, Resurrection F would not have ended up happening. And when the Universe 7 vs Universe 6 tournament ends up happening, Broly alone would be able to take out all the contestants from Universe 6. But if they needed more participants, remember Frieza and his army are still around. And remember, there are other Saiyans out there that they could scout out and add. Then the Zamasu arc rolls around, and this time he ends up taking over Broly's body instead. But when he ends up taking over Broly's body, it ends up being immediately noticeable to Beerus and Whis, since Broly would have been training with them for quite a while. So they would end up being the ones dealing with the situation that time around too. And if push comes to shove, when they end up fighting the immortal version of Zamasu, they could always get back the Z-Sword, pull that out, and seal Zamasu away with the Z-Sword. Because remember, the Z-Sword is a sealing weapon. And Beerus of all people should be able to pull it out because he was the one who put it there in the first place. So then Broly ends up getting back his original body and things play out fine. Then the Tournament of Power rolls around. Onio Broly, Frieza, and his men are recruited for the Tournament of Power, and Broly alone is able to wipe the floor with everyone there. Even Jiren ends up having a hard time against Broly, and they win. But Broly has shown to be pure-hearted at his core, even though he could get a bit berserk at times. So Broly ends up making the wish, and it ends up being a good wish. Of course, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie doesn't end up happening this time around because of how they already met Broly. Then when the Moro arc rolls around, Beerus could end up stepping in too. And like originally, in the original manga, Beerus was going to step in to try to take down Moro. So in this instance, he does it, and Moro could end up getting sealed away, or he could end up getting Hakkai'd. But even if Beerus doesn't step in to help, remember the Z-Sword is free now, so Supreme Kai is able to use it now. And with the Supreme Kai using the Z-Sword, if Moro gets overconfident, the Supreme Kai could use the Z-Sword on Moro and it could end up sealing Moro away. As for the Granola arc, with Granola, he might try to find the Saiyans, but will have no luck for the most part, until he comes across Frieza, and then he eliminates Frieza. And nothing much will really come of that. And the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie doesn't end up happening because even if they come around and make those androids, they're not going to be that strong or anything. So nothing really to write home about that one. So now we'll cover the events of Dragon Ball GT. Basically, this time around, none of the events of GT play out, because no wish is made to make Goku small because he's not even there. So there's no big space adventure or anything like that. And that also means that Baby doesn't end up showing up to Earth. And even if he did show up to Earth, he wouldn't have any beef with the humans because there are no Saiyans there. And because those Dragon Balls would not have been used, the Shadow Dragons also wouldn't appear. And Super 17 also wouldn't happen because 17 would be dead. So that's how peaceful the Earth would have been if Goku had died on planet Vegeta. Really drastic stuff.